Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
بسمام یارێکی زۆر خۆشەکەم نایتە شەرپلەی لە تۆرە سەری گەورە بزان شوان خێرا لایڤیشم کردێتەوە گەریان سێریەکەن جوێ نەگرت کە بینی و پێم بڵێ ببینی ئەمە نارەتەرێکی تایە وتی ستانلی ئەم کابرای من ناوی ستانلیە لە ستانلی بەلای چەپاڕۆی ئێستا تاقیەکەمە لە ڕاستاڕم بزانم چیە بێ.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
باوکە نەتۆم گەڕمەوە زەلیە فەلسەفی نووسراوەڵای ناوەکەی جوان نازەم ستانلی نازەم چیە.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
One day. چی؟ First dad. نه رقم یک dad.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Julius, well.
Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
هاتی زۆر موهیمە زانێت چیەکی لە یاریەکەیە نا بێژگەل لەوە چی ئەڵێ نا تێنەگەیشتی ئەڵە چی ئەڵێ هەموو کۆرگەکانە ئینە دیار نەماوە تۆ دایشی لەم ژوورە سەری چوار دەورەکەی تۆ هات زۆر بەقووە دەزانێت چی ئەەکەیت ئەیت خوا بە بەوەسم زامەڵە چی جوارێ وەسم.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
No. Dēlā mesajak mă vnera. A sam zamala ci jara. Ba serio kam sam siebie. Zam. Coffee nut. تخوب جان قصيت رناقة توزي ساعات جاكو ديلا زين شو.
But at last he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
بقصي كم؟ اما چی تو بۆ بۆ ساڵە to get back on a business بزنسی چی زانم چییە وەڵای بە قسەی ناکەم
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
بەخۆرازم بەخۆدا ڕاز بڕۆسی لایڤەکەکە هاتی زۆر بەخۆدا ئەی فۆر بۆ سەو ژوورە چییە penalty for misuse 1000 باشە do not jump from the car gold while it's in the motion باش
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
What?
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you... Really?
Yes.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have
No,
zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
Yes.
Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Okay.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Okay. Well, I نازم بخسيكم يلا Dave.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time?
Okay.
The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way we're doing right now.
No.
Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley?
No.
I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped.
I don't want to stop.
Well, I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Okay. Woo! I don't want to go in. I don't. I don't want to go in. I don't want to. Yalla. Oh, Jesus Christ.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
هاتي زور جوانا. Wow. Hey, Gabram. Most sticky tea. What?
No, wait. Where are you going?
What do you mean? Okay.
Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset.
No.
We'll lose all of this.
No.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
There's no way to go.
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Really? أبي خوب كوجي. أبي خوب كوجي. What?
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. No.
I'm trying again.
What are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me.
Yes.
I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Go back to where? What you got now? Ah, برا أولي أول.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room.
No.
Can you do that for me?
What other room? كما. وقتناكم زعما شي به.
My
خاوبو.
God. Is this really how much you dislike my game?
Yeah.
Did you throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of
Yeah.
it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
No.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
This one is yours. لازم طوال. أخي على the other room. لازم other room لشوية.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Oh Jesus! أتي شمال. هزو خوشة. بقرعان.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
أو شنو اسمه؟ أما سبب معناها بسمان بيشتر. Seriously? Awaiting input. Okay. One input. يعني input. أو input كم داس كوتوا زاني؟ أو input كم داس كوتوا بو choice كد إنم كرد. هلا مجار. أو تروفي لصايم لن. بازم جورانه شتێکی تایە. I hate Mondays. What? ئەمڕۆ دووشەمەیە Really? لەو یاریە؟ بابا داوای کاتەکەی کردم. پێشەو یاریەکە بکەم. واو ساعت چەندە ئێستا سی ساعتکە؟ نا ساعتەکە خەڵەتە بەس پێیوتم ساعت چەندە و ڕۆژەکەی چییە و پێشەوەی یارێک دەست پێ بکە. ئەو سەبوورەیە شتێ نووسراوە. چی؟ Cells in this quarter. چیە نووسراوە؟ Protections. ئەمە مەخسەی شتێکە ئەمام یاریە چکە یاریەکی نوعێکی ترم لەوە کردووە.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I want to choose the right one.
This was not the correct way to the meeting
Yes,
room,
it is.
and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
No.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yes, I want to admire it.
Wow, Yes,
this room.
What a beautiful room.
What a
gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room.
Okay.
Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
I'm looking at the sofas.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Phew, والله هم زين مستوين.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
بقسم نكد.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
No! تمام قرمه.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
والله يجابوا. والله مخوته. فينيو؟
No. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
No!
Now, let's see. We went down right, left...
Left, down,
left, right... Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
What is this? Oh!
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
It's a spoiler?
Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
No!
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
شتێکم کەشف کرد زانی؟ دانوسراو
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
کۆکم تەرەگا. تۆم گەڕمەوە؟ ناتوانی. سەڵتە زۆر کەمە بسوان بۆستە بە چایشکم. عادی قسەکە؟ ناتوای بچیتە هیچیانەوە. هەمی داخراوە. شتێکێ لێرەیە. ئەو کۆمپیوتەرەکە نازانم کواوەی نەکە ئینپوتەکە ئەمە بوو. بەس هو چی؟ Who farted? ئەم جاران دەرگایەکی تر کراوەتەوە ناوەڵار ئاینەشتە شتێکەیە باشە یعنی چی ئەمە تۆ لێرە دەوامەکەی لە پڕ ئەمانەی چیان دیار نەماون زین چیە بێ یاڵا
When Stanley... Wait.
What?
What? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh.
No, you didn't.
Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an
That's
adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Okay. Which one? هلور بلور تكامة سدو سورو شمامة آوا بارة تنجزر زيدي كي راسم هروي قزي الله. Oh shit. Move a maze. Oh, أما شو رقم؟ وين أما يتشي شو رقم؟ وين بوم؟
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
No.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this.
Oh,
Okay, let's
what?
give it a shot. Why not?
Hey, borra sarti again. Come on. I hate Moonbase.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Shut up!
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
هاري ليتوا حكم ترى نشتكي تاعه. أدي There's no dough.
Okay, yep, it's worse.
Yes.
I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Other direction?
Aha! I knew we'd missed something.
Oh.
The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story.
غلط يخوم فيهم رابور دزاني؟ لا والله فيهم رابور.
Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
وش يريد؟ أوه. أوه. خيانة.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Yeah!
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so
Yes.
good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Come on. Shit,
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
أي شيء أقل من بقسينا كم. Totally. Oh.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
طاوة بير ليبرو زين. كارتك.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa.
What the fuck are you talking
That
about?
got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Yes, let's do it. أول شي بو
Wait, cut the music. Go
Okay.
back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
اسمعوا يا روتين بي أما annual reviews باش manual ledgers cooperating balances consolidation reports departmental accounts financial records personnel files and budget analysis لازم هذا الشيء دوري اوكي والله هذه شو خوشة بس لازم ستوريكات درباري شيء
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
ديك دانا دركراو لا أنا خريبة طريقة ما زاني
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious, all...
كدو
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okay.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well,
شي لا بابا لتوبا من ياركم كم أخوان لازم شيء
could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
imagination
Oh, no, not you
Oh.
again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Acknowledge چی نگم مال شو
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Okay.
How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from...
أول أفتكر Okay.
From the right,
Exam
let us
theory.
ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way.
Welcome.
That this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
What? شاتم إيماني كسبوا في الرابع كم.
All of his co-workers were gone.
بس بيليرو شاتهم.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
أجل نروي شيء به. كرة زور بيمكر أو إنبوتي دوم دوزيو ياي.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Jesus.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper. Something darker.
Darker? بخواران اشتكت يابه نا شكون مجيكم جار على darker.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking but eager to get back to business. Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Go back on track. What's opposite door? هذيش ناقة وش يعني؟
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Please, please, please. Do not alter without consulting, Basha. Everyone is unique. Yalla, have a presentation again. Hi everyone. Azur Joanna, number of slides on the slide. Chart and slides. Rate every chart on the same slide. Did we the same information? Rate of increase in the grab per slide. Basha. Please no more. Begging. The most appreciation minute. To anything you love most about your boss. Fill out trivial 310 to go on them 20. If you find yourself conflict with another diligent employee like yourself, but more than conflict unless you are football success plan life pollution. Where? Tips for not getting fired. Talk less. Don't get fired. How to solve dispute? Let the ball inside. What? Ball inside. As up. Take a. She? Broom clothes. Okay. Broom? Book يعني. نا bride and groom. عفوا نانا broom جاء. Broom نازل عايشي.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Yeah?
And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Coulda called 911, قوات. Oh, God.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Buzz me
What did
later.
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
أقل ناس مشي به. كورة زورم كردو نازل. والله نازل. زورم كرد. أشر وإيماني كذو.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
لا والله كي دوس على ندس اوه هي درجاك لي تخش زعما شي.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
2845.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Life, انا ما جايبش كمان.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
دو صوت شلوحات كوادو صوت شلوحات لازم دو صوت شلوحات لازم أو شيء للسلو شكا دو صوت شكا بس كوادو صوت شلوحات أغنية دو صحف كاوتش وارن دو صوت شلوحات هذه دو أوجنية دو صوت شلوحات يشبه زمان.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
What's the judgment? Oh.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Five. Chodźmy sobie, 0, 1, 4.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is that what you wanted? Control? Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Come on!
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment.
Jesus. Whoa,
but here's a spoiler for you.
That
That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking.
Oh, Jesus.
Death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're to see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
Oh,
30
Jesus.
seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to
صفر يك شواردو.
pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully?
Ah,
You have a
Jesus.
choice.
Oh, sir.
Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me,
Oh,
I
say
will
it
be
here.
laughing at every second of your inevitable
Come
life
on.
from the moment
Quoi?
we fade in until the moment I
Ça,
say
j'ai bien l'air.
happily ever up.
هذا تخوى بأخلاقه بقسى مشغولة كا شتكيتيا وجورا تأشي شتكيتيا تلفون نبو كاتا.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Future Happiness Foundation. I like work. I just hate my boss. أشكره شو أنا اشتاق بلا براسة.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Jesus
he entered the
Christ.
door on his left.
باش
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
بس بابا شبع وشي نسرة. I'm gonna take a shit. I've got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. So that's a lovely purse. Shimsra, extreme bathrooms. Shikti era. Shumbu away. Advanced firma. Business strategy. Oh. وصرف يا بخار. دايك تبي اخلاق الله بيخل انا را ممكن bazıdaki sure bakalım kuler. كنت بس كم تخيه ويها وارد مش شنو قصده في رابردن ببقور عنه انا خافي اخلاقه مش يدرس كذا اخو خلق چند لره وصابه زنی یاریان کرده هاتی بی اخلاق و قرآن هر زنی شگیدیه 0142 شکوه همون والله من
Stepping into his
دیرنم
manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
No.
What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to
Hey,
nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf. looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be?
Oh.
In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
عقبش مسر وشي لا والله يا والله
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Fired. لا أو السيرة بزوج جواز.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
يك ليريا سيلفيا بينش ألفيا أما كم أما دو يك دو سي بينج لأي شواركو شوار للسرو باللواني ها ناتو امشي تسرو No. 0.2 ها 0.2 أو 0.2 هي الأقسام ها وش نسرع عليها 0.2 أو 0 شوار دو ها أوين دورة 0 شوار دو دقيقة لا والله ورويا يك أما كوديكي جوازة يك دو لقل أو سكودي لقل أويا 0 يان 0 يكا يان 0 شوار دو يان 0.2 بس 0 لا شوية 0 أما 5 سفر نازم سفر لشوه سفر ليانية فنجيب يانمو.
And when at last he found the source of the... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside.
What's incorrect?
To a crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
Red button.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you.
Fuck!
Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. Buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Greenish
that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? But you really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me and the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. Take a look at the clock. That's 30 seconds you have left to strike. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown.
Fuck!
Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment you fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
شتێکی تایە تەچی دەویا شتێکی تیا لە قەبری بەم تخوا سای کەم خێنە وڵایە ببیکەم سیتیایە کوای تریش سیتیایە بۆستە سیتیایە پێنجی تیا بوو لەگەڵ لینێکیشە 3 و 5 توخوا با بینوسم 3 5 1 2
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take, too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a...
تروفی مارگرسان هشت تروفی مارگر
hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it as Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Nah! أتيك بأخلاقها قرعة مهمة.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
أما تأكيد لريليواني هريك الطاوبة.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back...
Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
The control wrested away from you. It's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here.
أو بينجا زاني لنا وصوزكايا بأخلاقنا أي بيني
Here will save me.
بينج
Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
أو بينج
But you really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me and the
Yes, you
retching
coming, yeah.
explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. Take a look
او
at the
درقاك
clock.
راوتو.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30
اه
seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
درقاك راو. Pięć,
All of his
pięć,
co-workers
gdzie?
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
هلا شي. وخل. أول شي بو. هلا شي. تخوزي ده.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either.
يلا
Feeling a
escape
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad, Stanley
Aha,
pushes some
Brniła.
buttons.
Sticky
Oh,
tie.
hey, look, it's a new passageway.
Jak se
No
brni?
surprise.
تأشيش تيجي.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No, I don't want to go back.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
بإخلاق يعني. Escape ممكن.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his
Oh,
demise,
fuck.
he reflected that his life had been of no consequence
Nah.
whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind
أمير
man.
راكم.
And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his
No,
brief
no,
and
no, no,
shallow
no, no.
life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
مردم يعني the Stanley Parable. Okay.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Oh.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Jak tu se the offices يقودوا se button sound بس sound ابي اخلاق انا ذانات يا طاب يا رجا model design item office Warzone actually would become science and would wage war against the narrator. والله خوجة. We realized shortly after started to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus some people interpreted it as making a fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. أنا بحسب ديزاين شان كردو سري Optionagana. Oh, what the fuck? Kura gimbum. Haftaudu. Osibu. Exit.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Oh, fuck. What's you? Welcome Sally to heaven. Oh. الله يخوش. کجانا؟ ای حالا به تو؟ حال نه به تو. حالا به تو حالا. برار رو هیون و نبید. نه تو خوا. یک دگمه تیه لسای میلیون. کوره بۆ خاتری خوا یەک دوگمەیتیە جیاوازە تەعیشیت کوره خوایە کوره تو قورعمم خەجانەوە مێشکم تاقی کوره بۆ خاتری خۆڵا بێتی قەدم زەم قینێکتیە یەو دوگمانە چی ئاسمان ئاسان سەرچێکم بۆ بگە کوره ئاسمان ئەماڵێ ئیندینگ ئەمی من ئەمە ئێستا چی بکەم ئەدەی کوێت بکەم بەێ پێمە بکەم گویت هێبێ
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
يعني بس منه
Oh, well,
كونسولين
this
صازقنا
sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see
لا
it.
توين باصلي
The jump circle?
اوه نانية الحركات ثانية زومبي ثانية نا تخوام تواني بازڵام ئەو بۆ مێشکمیشی نەکرد نا بە قورعانەوەی نا ئەم توانی لە شوێنەکە بازەڵم لە 100 ملیۆن ئادی تۆ وەرباسیێتی
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore."
Test trophies? Are they? خب زمان چیزا نکسانه test trophy. هەر نووسرەوە تست ترۆفی پلیز ئیگنۆ هەر ڕێگوان نووسرا بێئەخلاقە ئەستا بزان مەڵە چویسەکە چێگە کردووە ئەگەوا بێ زۆر مهمە.
What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
But ده بالراحة ورقت ما قال قوراه في سكة.
Psst, Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
He's never.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
$1 شكله. No, la vez Paulo Bravo. طب مداني شو ليا
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
قبل ما خلاص شيبه هو منهم I hate Mondays. باشا ما فيني تانية موشن بلر استكن بقول عن لو ساعته تو ازاي كم باشا
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Eu ci dava. بزرگه کرده بس شوم شماوی بینیو او بطنه چیه يا خواره.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give
Yay.
to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh, no.
Reviews.
Oh, God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue for... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're
برا
back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
برا
Stanley, I think it's been a week.
برا.
Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time.
Oh
Just
my God.
sitting here. Not a single person to... Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about...
نمر به نارتر تخوى بخور عمرت يا شيخم كوشت مردوها باش سرشتو وشك بوها کات زۆر ڕۆیشتووە قوران کوشتم زین ساعتەکە هەر توەستا پیرێت گوتێەوە هەر ساعتەکە بەر بۆتەوە
But they didn't understand the game
What?
was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability.
shut up. پشتێ شتێکە پشتێ ڕۆی ئەوە مێش وێسراحەترە یێ نەوەڵڵا
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
سەوتی شتێکە ئەو چیە What the fuck? Velha. Isto é cara? Ah. خالانیش نمینه زین داره Bakışıyor mu? Russia. Bravo. Bralar boto. Oh. Zora lam. Yani şu zora lam. Zira kan. خەمیۆ مە بەچی بگەڕێمەوە ئەوە چی بوو؟ جا ڕێک وەرە ئێستا شێت مەبە ئەوەم با بۆ بەهەشت و
How long was I sitting there?
Oh.
Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
صوتي الروكيت ديال الدرا غير شتيغا بزاف نفرقنا بين ما علي راوا بزاف بجاران سيريكا بو new content.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
اهو برمجارة عينا شو النبي.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game...
John? Okay.
Development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Free trophy. Free trophy. Free trophy.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident?
Yes.
Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley. But I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
أخلاقه مش نشينا.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life. God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Nah, that's fazla camera. Infinite hole. What is this? Please no screenshots.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on. A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2. Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already. For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jim.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature. Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? to be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Hát just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. بخير ني. New mug. Meeting 2 p.m.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the...
بما فورتنايت باش سام باش ايه سام فورتنايت ايه بوت شام داري ماشي بكم
uncertain nature of the hole's length.
هاتي الرانويتشي داما من دياريكم والله نازم تخوتان ريكون ايوه هاتشيك تامني ما ياري دايما يقرشنا فورتنايت
Let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do, and hit the
مشينا الريم والله مشينا الريم مشينا الريم واو هاد الأسود ذاك من هالبزيدو اسمه ريمو كاكا ده والله نابي والله عيب
ڕان خۆ ماڵی ئەو دوانە نازانم خۆ ماڵی تۆ دەزانم
دەبڕۆستی لایڤەکە بزانم یەی قسەیەکم کردووە بس من يما رينبو بزيترس.
Port button when you're ready to move on. Is the teleport button not
والله
working?
يجيك أيام بس جاري
You
معي.
sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
تذكر عنها الحزة جيبي بما فيها.
Stanley? Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
نعم.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features. All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why, when Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
How do you want later?
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Maybe Stanley would never pick up the bucket. A lonely bucket, lonely and miserable and Stanleyless. Such a sad fate for a bucket. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal. It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket? Oh no, I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll... All of his co-workers were gone. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.